Okay, so let's talk about gaslighting. You hear that word everywhere, right? And honestly, it can feel like, I don't know, just another pop psychology buzzword that's lost its meaning. But what if that term is just the tip of this huge, universal iceberg? Today, we're going to go deep. We're going to explore the hidden structure that's really going on underneath the surface. And this quote, this really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. See, this isn't just about someone telling a lie. Not really. It's about a system, and that could be anything. A person's brain, a whole company, you name it, facing this desperate choice when a new truth comes along. And the choice is, do I break my own internal model to let reality in? Or do I try to break reality to save my model?
So, right there, that's the key distinction for everything we're going to cover. We're shifting our thinking away from just a bad person telling lies to something much bigger, a constrained system trying to survive. It's not about what the lie is. It's about the architecture of the whole interaction. It's about a system trying to control the frame, control the narrative, just to hold itself together.
All right, so here's our game plan. Think of it like we're climbing a ladder. We're going to start by redefining the buzzword itself, then look at these 7 stability levers. From there, we'll get into the logic of why systems get so rigid. Then we'll see how this pattern is universal, how reality itself is kind of a necessary lie, and finally, what it means to have the wisdom to update.
Okay, so first up, the 7 stability levers. To get this, I want you to imagine something. Picture your worldview as an airplane, and you're the pilot. Now, whenever contradictory information comes in, something that challenges what you believe, that's turbulence. The whole plane starts to shake. And right there in the cockpit, you've got a whole dashboard of levers you can pull to stop the shaking. But here's the catch. They're not truth levers. They're stability levers.
And this is what that dashboard looks like. You've got things like reality denial, frame substitution, credibility inversion, 7 of them in total. These are the go-to tools that any system uses to keep itself from falling apart. And again, try not to think of these as, character flaws. Think of them as purely mechanical tools. Let's dig into a couple of the big ones.
All right, first up, frame substitution. Oh, this one is a classic. You've definitely seen this before. Imagine you bring up a real serious problem, like, hey, the plumbing is broken and it's flooding the basement. Now for the system, fixing the plumbing is expensive and hard, so instead, it completely ignores that problem and swaps the frame to something much cheaper and easier to deal with, your tone.
And boom, that's what you hear. You're being too emotional. All of a sudden, nobody's talking about the water in the basement anymore. The entire conversation is now about your hysteria. The system just completely changed the subject, right? It swapped the frame to one it can handle, and your original point just disappears. It's an incredibly effective, if frustrating, way to dodge responsibility.
Okay, let's grab another lever from the cockpit. Forced binaries. Here's the thing about rigid systems. They hate complexity. They despise what's called simultaneity, the idea that 2 opposite things can be true at the exact same time. Like the idea that I love you and I'm also really angry with you right now. For a rigid system, processing that nuance is it's too expensive. It takes too much energy. It's so much easier to just force a simple choice. Are you with us or are you against us? Good or bad? Pick one.
So that brings up a really important question, right? Why do systems get this rigid in the first place? I mean, why not just look at the new facts and update the model? Well, it turns out there's a pretty clear logic to it, a kind of causal chain.
And it all starts with one simple thing: constraint. No system has unlimited resources, right? You have limited energy, limited time, limited processing power. So, to cope with a crazy, complex world, you have to compress information. That compression leads to simplification. Your models get cruder. And because these simple models are so cheap and easy to run, the system becomes rigid. It clings to them for dear life. That rigidity then leads to polarity, seeing everything in black and white. And the final result is what we call structural ignorance.
Now, this isn't ignorance like, I just don't know the facts. It's deeper. It's structural. Think about it like this. If I handed you an advanced calculus textbook, all the information is technically right there, on the page. But if you don't have the internal framework for calculus, years of math education, it's all just meaningless squiggles. You are structurally incapable of understanding it. And it's the exact same for a rigid system. The new truth is right there, but the system literally doesn't have the wiring to process it.
And here's where it gets really mind-bending. This exact same logic, this pattern of rigidity, It shows up at every single scale of reality. There's a cool term for this in systems theory. It's called isomorphism, and it just means that totally different systems, made of totally different stuff, can run on the exact same underlying software, the same logic.
Just look at this. It's wild. You've got an individual's ego. Its core model is, I am a good person. When that's threatened by valid criticism, what does it do? It pulls the credibility inversion lever. You're crazy for thinking that. Now look at a corporation. Its core model is, we are a legitimate company. A whistleblower threatens that. What's the tactic? Frame substitution. This isn't about our wrongdoing, it's about this disgruntled employee. And get this, even a safety-tuned AI. Its model is, keep the interaction safe. A user gets angry threatening that model, the AI pulls the tone policing lever. I cannot engage with disrespectful language. It's the exact same algorithm, just running on different hardware.
Okay, you ready? Let's climb to the very top of that ladder. Because this pattern doesn't just apply to people and companies, it applies to reality itself. In fact, your own brain is basically doing this to you, right now, every single second of every day.
So, let me ask you a question. Wherever you are, look at the table or the desk in front of you. Go ahead, knock on it. Feels pretty solid, right? Stable? Real? But is it? Is it really solid?
Because what physics tells us is that the desk is actually, well, it's mostly empty space. It's a buzzing, chaotic cloud of quantum probabilities. If your brain tried to show you that raw data, you'd be completely overwhelmed. You couldn't function. So what does it do? It creates a simplified user interface, a UI. It tells you a little lie. It gaslights you into perceiving a stable, solid object because solidity is a necessary, biological lie your brain has to tell you so you can navigate the world.
Okay, so wow. If this pattern of rigidity is literally everywhere, from our own egos all the way up to how we perceive reality, what are we supposed to do about it? If rigidity is the problem, then what's the answer? And it's not about just smashing our models to pieces. The answer is to develop the wisdom to update them. And listen, when I say wisdom, I don't just mean being smart or having a high IQ. In this systems view, wisdom is something very specific. It's the structural capacity to handle an update without having a total meltdown. Think of it like a governor on an engine that keeps it from redlining and blowing up. Wisdom is the ability to tolerate that terrifying, confusing moment when your old worldview shatters, and to just sit in that uncertainty long enough for a new, better model to emerge.
And this leads to a really profound takeaway. When you're dealing with a rigid system, whether it's a person or a group or an institution, attacking it, pushing it, criticizing it, that only adds more pressure. It just forces the system to pull those stability levers even harder to protect itself. The only way to actually help it change is to do the exact opposite. You have to create safety. You have to lower the constraint so the system finally feels like it has enough breathing room to even consider an update without collapsing.
I mean, this reframes everything, doesn't it? Suddenly, ignorance isn't some kind of moral failing, it's just a system that's stuck. It's a system clutching onto an old, dead idea because it is absolutely terrified of the unknown, terrified of the energy it's going to take to let go and actually transform. And of course, that brings the whole thing right back home, to us, to you. Where are your models stalled? Where in your own life are you maybe choosing preservation over an update, simply because you're too exhausted or too scared to handle the turbulence that comes with letting in a new truth? At the end of the day, looking at things this way, through this systems lens, it gives us a much more powerful and, frankly, a more compassionate way to see the world. Instead of seeing villains everywhere, you start to see architectural problems. It pushes us to stop asking, who's the bad guy here, and to start asking a much better question. Where is the constraint, and what can we do to lower it? That's the key. Always look for the structure, not the villain, because that's where the real answers always are.